Hello YouTubers, RogueMonkeyJr here, and you might be wondering what the hell is wrong with my HUD right now in Battlefield 1. Well, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So, in the most recent patch of Battlefield 1, i.e. the summer update, actually I think you would say it also known as, also known as the summer update, there were a bunch of HUD and UI customization options added into Battlefield 1. A lot of people usually don't really know about these. They're not really explained all that well in the patch notes, and people don't really play with their HUD, I find, a lot. So I tinkered around a lot with the HUD and UI options when the patch launched, and I found that these are probably some of the best HUD settings that you can get for Battlefield 1 to have a nice, clean, uncluttered HUD with all of the useful information that you will require to actually play Battlefield 1 at your peak performance. So let's go right into the HUD options. So go into your gameplay in the options menu, and then there's 4 different tabs here. So the first one is the basic tab. So there's a few new options here, and I haven't really touched any of the old options before, because there wasn't a whole lot of customization available for the HUD and UI, but now I went through everything and I changed a bunch of things. So first and foremost, I like having the chat open. It lets you know if your teammates need ammo and stuff like that, if you don't hear the audio cues, but I did turn this down to 80%. And I only have it on when it's active, as to not keep it on the screen all the time. I find it a little bit distracting. For the kill log, now the kill log, I love having it open. It lets you know if most of your team is dead, especially in smaller game modes. Very important to have on to know if most of your teammates are dead. So I always have it on. I put it down to 85%, you know, because I don't really need to see it all that well. Generally speaking, if you see the colors, you can pretty much know who killed who and what's happening around you in the battlefield. Something that's nice is the kill log filter that you can change. If you didn't know about this, I have it set to all because I like it that way. But you can change these filters, so you can have it set to team, so whenever your team gets a kill, it'll show up on there. Squad, self, or nearby. So this is something that a lot of people like. They can know if there's enemies nearby. If they see a teammate die on the top right hand corner in the kill log, then they know that there's an enemy nearby. But I don't really use this. I just keep it to all because I have the minimap for that, and I look at my minimap a lot. So we're going to get to that in a bit. So for the miscellaneous HUD, I have awards shown, critical message shown, and reload hint shown. Hint system, I don't have it shown. I find it kind of pointless. So the scoring size is something that I changed. So basically the scoring panel, what that is when you get hits on the enemy, it says enemy hit, for example, 10. It's going to show up a little bit smaller. I found that it's a little bit too cluttered if you put it to 100%, so I turned it down a little bit. Miscellaneous HUD size, so that's the comma rows interactions. You can see all of it in the right hand corner here. I turned it down as well. I don't really need the awards popping up. They're way too big and they clutter up a lot of your screen, but I still do like having them on, so I turned it down to 85%. The squad list size, so down to 80%, because in the bottom left hand corner, as you can see in the gameplay right now, you have a lot of things down there. You have your minimap, you have your squad list if you're in a squad, so there's a lot of information given down there, and the squad list size isn't all that useful except to see what classes maybe are in your squad and who's in there. This also tells you when your squad mates spawn on you, so I turned that down a little bit. Player info panel size, so that would be your ammo count, all of your inventory and stuff like that, so how many grenades you have, how many gadgets you have, what gadgets you have, all that information down in the bottom right hand corner. I turned that down a little bit. It's too big. You don't need it that big unless you have really bad eyesight or something. I turned that down to 80. I find that's the sweet spot. A little bit smaller than that, and it's kind of getting hard to see. And also have the inventory only appear when it's active, so when I'm switching out gadgets, then the inventory will appear, as to keep the screen as clean as possible. For the vehicle seat info, I didn't really mess around with that. I don't really play in vehicles all that much in Battlefield 1. For crosshair size, I put that up to 110%. It doesn't really take that much more real estate on your screen, but I mean, you can see the crosshair a little bit better, and I find that great. Something else that you might not know that has to do a little bit with the HUD is you can now change your lens sight reticle color. So using an optical variant of any weapon, you can change the reticle sight on that weapon variant, so you can have it any color you like, something that contrasts more with the in-game environment. For all of these other ones, hit indicator size, I turned it up to 110%. Always useful to have more information on whether or not you hit the enemy. So next, changing up to minimap. So these are options that we had for quite some time. Maybe not all of them, I'm not quite sure. So first things first, I play with a huge minimap, as you might have noticed. So I have my minimap cranked up to 140%. The minimap is such a useful piece of information. You can know everything that's happening around you in real time. You can see spotted enemies on there. You can see friendlies that are downed. You can see there's so much information on there that I think it's one of the most useful tools in Battlefield 1. So I have that cranked up. I find 100% way too small. You can't see what's happening. So I have that at 140%. Also, something that they added is the compass bearings. So now you can have compass bearings on your minimap. So before we only had the cardinal directions of north, east, west, and south. Now you actually have the bearings. So little numbers between the cardinal directions. So like 320 or stuff like that. So you can do callouts better when you're playing with teammates on voice. Okay, so this is 100% for people playing as a team and playing with voice comms. You can call out really quickly where you're going instead of like going, oh, over here or to the left, because a lot of people aren't really used to the cardinal direction callouts like north, east, west, and south. So now you can give like bearings, which is a little bit easier for everybody to understand and just find their heading on the minimap to turn around. So there's a bunch of other things that you can change here in the minimap. I didn't really change anything other than those two things that I find are really important. Next, moving on to the world icons. I didn't change anything here as well, because if you change the world icon's size here, the spotted enemies, so the Doritos that you see in 3D spotting, will be smaller. So that's a little bit, it's kind of a win-win situation. It's kind of a win-lose situation because the objectives are smaller, so it clutters up a little bit less of your screen, but the spotted enemies are smaller as well. So it's kind of like think about it before you actually do it, or try it out, see if you like it. And then something else that they added that you can change is actually in the video settings. So now you can actually have a screen safe area width and height. So for example, let's say if I would turn that down to 0 and turn this down to 0, then the screen safe area of all my information would be concentrated within that screen safe area that I just set. But I find it way too cluttered if you're playing like this. It's blocking up so much of your view. I don't know why anybody would want to play with something like that unless you have a really huge monitor. I think that anything over 27 inches is probably a little bit too big, so I left that at 100%, have everything nice and laid out, and have a lot of breathing room. So you're able to see what's happening. Of course, people might find my minimap a little bit big. I like it like that. It's maybe more personal preference, but the rest I think is a nice clean HUD that you can actually use, have all the information on screen that you need, a vital information that you need, even bigger or more obvious. And I think it's just a nice layout. I'm happy that they put all these HUD and UI customization options in Battlefield 1. I think it's a nice addition, even though we're coming up on 2 years after the launch. But I think it's a very nice addition to be able to customize your HUD even more, to have it as cluttered or as clean as you want. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, how you like your HUD. Are you gonna maybe roll with something that I just suggested right now? Are you gonna stick with something a little bit more cluttered? Let me know all that in the comments down below. And while you're down there, appreciate the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I release Battlefield and first-person shooter-related content pretty much every day. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. See you guys in the next video. Have a good one.